So Paul Pogba's back training. Now, I was meant to ask you, is there a way back for Pogba? I'm not going to ask you that. I'm going to ask you, can he be the main man at Manchester United again?
Yeah, without question. Listen, Paul Pogba is an incredible talent. One of the few world-class talents that Manchester United have in their dressing room. So he can be the main man. I think the bigger question is, does he want to be the main man? Does he see himself as the main man at Old Trafford going forward? I think not. I think he clocked out some time ago. And if you're emotionally removed from your roles and responsibility at a club, I'm not sure how you make yourself the main man in that circumstance.
Okay, let's look elsewhere then. There are many other players at other clubs who've clocked out. Something's happened, they've clocked back in again. Why couldn't he?
I just feel he has not been overly impressed with the way Manchester United have gone as a club. He's not convinced by the direction that they continue to going in. Certainly, at the very least, up until recently, there was also speculation, particularly around Real Madrid and Zinedine Zidane, and that's enough to have somebody's head turned permanently. Now, were things to change at either Real Madrid or, more to the point, Manchester United, without question, he can clock back in, but I remain sceptical.
I want to get back to him staying at United in just a second. However, if he is to go, if he is to leave in the January transfer window or whenever, if you're if you're Real Madrid or Barcelona, you saw his stats from last season, they were very impressive. This season he's been hurt. Are you buying him based on what he is now? Are you maybe getting him on the cheap? Or are you saying, I'm not sure, this isn't the Paul Pogba of a couple of years ago?
Listen, I don't think you get Paul Pogba on the cheap. Manchester United broke the world record in bringing him to Old Trafford. At the very least, they will want to get their money back. I think they'll ask for a whole lot more on top in that regard as well. But despite the disappointments around Paul Pogba and his performances, you can't help but remember exactly how good he was at Juventus. That we are still talking about a World Cup winner. We're still talking about a player who physically has attributes like nobody else in the game. I'm willing to take that chance. Of course, the big question then becomes, at what price? But Paul Pogba, for me, remains one of the more valuable properties in world football. You just have to get him back anything like he once was.
Well, there's something to do with the comments that Solskjaer made. You're talking about at what price. How much would you have to spend to replace someone like Pogba? And if Solskjaer thinks he can get him back on board, that's a hell of a lot easier to do than getting him sold and having to try and replace him.
Of course. Whenever somebody comes in, you're not quite sure, despite how good they are, wherever they may be, and the price that you pay, there is a bit of a gamble. And at least you know Paul Pogba. And Paul Pogba knows Manchester United and Manchester and Solskjaer and this club. And so getting him back on board would be the easier option in that regard. Well, easier in you're not quite sure what you're getting. The big challenge is, again, can you convince Paul Pogba to stay another season without Champions League football, without a real clear direction as to where this club may go, continued speculation around Solskjaer, will he stay, won't he? I know what the club and what the pundits are saying are two totally different things. And how he feels within that dressing room, again, might contrast with all of that.
I'll end with a hypothetical question for you. If he gets back to his best at Manchester United between January and the end of the season, will they finish top four?
I think that possibility is still very much there. That's less about Paul Pogba and him being back to his best. That's more about the stuttering of almost everybody in the league outside of Leicester, City, and Liverpool. Even with Chelsea faltering now, that door, which I thought was closed a couple of weeks ago, all of a sudden seems back open again.
Well, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, with Paul Pogba back in training, says the Frenchman is staying. Only time will tell.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.